Hello everyone, welcome back to Jikook Moments. Have you ever felt that in a music video that looks so perfect, there's actually something that quietly stands out more than the rest? That feeling appears almost instantly when watching BTS's Hooligan MV. From the very first second, the visuals feel powerful, the aura is intense, and every frame seems alive with dense energy. But behind all that grandeur, there's a certain dynamic that steals the spotlight, especially from two figures, Park Jimin and Jungkook. In today's video, we're going to break it all down. From the contrast in their auras, the subtle symbols that many people might not notice, to how all of this intersects with the ever-evolving dynamics of the fandom. Because maybe not everything is as simple as it seems. When watching Hooligan for the first time, the impression is almost instant. Every member looks incredible. Nothing feels half done. Every movement, expression, and visual composition feels carefully crafted. Their aura isn't just strong, it's consistent, filling every corner of the screen with a presence that's impossible to ignore. Yet, within that collective power, Jimin and Jungkook bring something different. Jungkook appears with a firm, confident, and slightly wild image, carrying a rebellious nuance that feels very clear. His gaze is sharp, his gestures minimal yet controlled, and his presence feels dominant without even trying. On the other hand, Jimin brings an equally strong energy, but with a softer approach. There's a sensual, elegant, and emotional side flowing through his every movement. He doesn't dominate with force, but with a more subtle allure, yet that's exactly what makes him impossible to look away from. Interestingly, this difference doesn't create distance. In fact, it does the opposite. They feel like two sides of the same spectrum. Jungkook represents firmness, Jimin brings softness. Jungkook feels explicit, Jimin feels implicit. And when they exist within the same visual space, it creates a unique balance, a harmony that isn't always obvious, but deeply felt. Moving into smaller details, there's one element that stands out: the styling. Jimin is seen wearing two padlocks around his neck, while Jungkook wears a key. On the surface, this could simply be part of the styling. But looking deeper, it's hard not to consider the possibility of symbolism. A lock and key are powerful metaphors. They can represent attachment, secrets, connection, or even emotional dependency. But is this truly an intentional message? Or just a visual coincidence that viewers later give meaning to? And that's where the appeal lies. An MV like Hooligan doesn't provide definite answers. It opens up space for interpretation, and everyone is free to understand it from their own perspective. Outside the MV, BTS also shared their story in an exclusive interview after a long hiatus. In a relaxed setting, they talked about their creative process, emotional journey, and the new direction they want to explore. One song that gained attention is Swim. This track is more than just a song. It reflects their journey, about continuing to move forward even in uncertainty. It carries meaning about endurance, adaptation, and progress, especially during their activities outside Korea, including in the United States. BTS's return this time does feel different. The long gap gave them space to grow, both as individuals and as a group. And that's clearly reflected in their work, more mature, more daring, and more exploratory. During the process, they actively exchanged ideas every day. From small notes to long discussions, everything became part of the creative foundation of this album. They also worked with various international producers, bringing new colors into their music. This collaboration resulted in a more layered sound. There are darker, more atmospheric, even slightly experimental tones. Some parts feel unfamiliar, but that's exactly where the strength lies. They're no longer playing it safe, but pushing boundaries. Even so, their human side remains. In the middle of serious discussions, they still joke around, share daily habits, and show their relaxed side that keeps them relatable. However, the most emotional part comes when they talk about their hiatus, especially during military service. Time and distance created a space that wasn't easy to fill. They couldn't directly see each other's growth, and the sense of longing was real. When they finally reunited, there was a mix of emotions: curiosity, excitement, and the desire to start again. The recording process became more than just work. It became a space to rebuild connections that had once been interrupted. Now, as they return to the stage, their goal is clear: to give their best. Not only in performance, but also in quality and meaning. Because they know the wait wasn't short. In the end, Hooligan is more than just an MV. It's a symbol of a journey, of growth, change, and reunion. A statement that they have returned, stronger and bolder than before. But on the other hand, as we discussed earlier, there's an interesting phenomenon growing within the fandom. At a certain point, some fans begin to interpret interactions between members in more complex ways. What started as preference or shipping gradually turns into constant comparison. Interactions between Jimin and Jungkook often become the center of attention. No matter the context, the focus always comes back to them. From there, a tendency emerges to compare, and even expect similar patterns in other combinations. It's as if there's a competition that never actually exists, yet feels real to some people. Every gesture, every moment, is treated as something that must have an equivalent. This is where the boundaries begin to blur. What should be natural starts to be perceived as something that must be replicated. Reality no longer feels sufficient, leading to a push to align it with expectations. An example can be seen in reactions to Jungkook's activity on social media. When he likes or shares fan art, that simple action can grow into something much bigger in the eyes of some fans. Instead of seeing it as appreciation, some respond in exaggerated ways, from mass tagging to pushing for similar actions on other content. At this point, the interaction is no longer organic. It becomes pressure. In reality, when something is done due to external pressure, its meaning changes. Spontaneity is the essence of authenticity. And when that disappears, the emotional value fades as well. A similar phenomenon occurs in many other interactions. The focus often shifts from the content itself to whether there is a continuation that matches certain expectations. This shows a need for validation. Not just enjoying what exists, but ensuring that reality aligns with a pre-built narrative. Yet there's one simple thing that is often forgotten. Every BTS member is an individual. They have full freedom over what they do, like, and share. Not everything is a symbol. Not every moment holds hidden meaning. Sometimes things are simply what they are. And perhaps, in the middle of all this analysis, that is the most important thing to remember. Hooligan isn't just about stunning visuals or layered theories. It's about how we, as viewers, choose to interpret what we see. Is everything truly full of symbolism? Or are we the ones giving it more meaning than it actually has? What's clear is that BTS has returned with work that is more mature, more daring, and full of color. And as always, they've managed to make us look closer, even at the simplest things. What do you think? Are those details intentional or just coincidence? Write your thoughts in the comments, don't forget to like, and subscribe to Jikook Moments for more interesting analyses. See you in the next video.